All right. Well, who is not? Who is not? I guess familiar with the Joe Rogan censor, or at least the call for censorship, and Spotify and musicians taking their content off and protest and all this stuff. It has really gotten a lot of state legislators and state legislations concerned about the platforms censoring content like Texas, Florida, and now Georgia. They've introduced legislation to prevent social media companies from monitoring content on their platforms. And that sounds good. However, is it? And we have Carl Szabo, Vice President and General Counsel for NetChoice, here to talk about Georgia's social media free speech law. It is Senate Bill 393. And, well, first of all, Carl, good to have you with us this morning.
Man, look, I'm a longtime Joe Rogan fan. And when he took $100 million to go over to Spotify, he had to abide by their rules. And, here's hoping #free Joe, right?
Yeah. On the surface, it looks like, okay, the telling these social platforms you cannot censor content on your platforms is a good thing. But you're kind of saying, now, hang on a minute. You may be getting something you may not want down the road. And what exactly are you saying at NetChoice? Where's your argument for, no, this is not a good idea?
We're a right-of-center tech trade association. I teach at George Mason Antonin Scalia Law School. I'm an originalist. And I fundamentally believe that private businesses should have the right to decide what's best for their users and their customers. And these are core conservative values. Now, what we're seeing in SB 393 is a understandable frustration when we see either perceived or actual content moderation that goes against conservatives. And look, as a conservative, it frustrates me too. But at the end of the day, I fundamentally believe that a private business can decide what's best for its users and its customers, much in the same way I don't want the government coming in and telling you have to give an hour to Rachel Maddow. I don't want the government coming in and telling social media platforms that they have to host content that they don't want, that their advertisers don't want, that their users don't want. And that includes stuff like child grooming, which is constitutionally protected. That includes stuff like pornography, which is constitutionally protected. That includes stuff like terrorist speech, which is constitutionally protected. So there's a lot of lawful but awful content we don't want our platforms to host. And this is just, at the end of the day, government getting in the way of private business and telling private businesses what to say.
And if some of these platforms choose to accept any content and everything, whether it is popular with 50% of the population or not, you're saying just let them make their own decisions on this. And if you don't like it, nobody's forcing you to listen to any of this.
100%. So, Senator Rand Paul, not exactly a liberal guy, recently said, look, am I frustrated? Yeah, I'm frustrated. But I'm going to vote with my feet. I'm leaving Facebook. I'm going to Rumble. Rumble is a great example of a new startup that has over 70 million monthly active users, and it hosts conservative content. We're seeing President Trump's new Truth Social come and make an avenue available for conservatives. And that's exactly what I want as a conservative, which is to let the market solve for itself. What we're also seeing from the left is you're seeing politicians demanding that platforms remove more content, speech that they don't want. You're seeing at the same time bills like 393 telling businesses that you must retain speech that they don't want. And at the end of the day, platforms are basically getting worked like the referees in the Super Bowl, and it ends up being a really raw deal for us as the consumer who ultimately just want what is best for us. And look, if we don't want to use Facebook, if it's giving us content that we don't like, we just stop using it. If we don't want to use Twitter, we just stop using it. It's not this mandatory avenue that everyone needs access to or needs to survive. So if we let the businesses decide what's best for themselves and for their customers, what you're going to end up seeing is product and content that is best for what I want. And I will selectively choose the products and content that are best for me, my family, and what I want to see.
It kind of seems to me that a lot of well-intended, I guess, efforts. Maybe you can't be the principal or the vice principal of discipline in the room all the time. That you cannot legislate free will, and you've got to hope that the public is going to say, well, I like this or I don't like this, and they'll let the free market decide who survives and who doesn't. That's kind of the same case with with any business, but also with the social platforms.
That's right. I mean, look, I love Chick-fil-A. And would I love to have a chicken sandwich on Sunday? Heck yeah. But do I want the government telling Chick-fil-A it has to serve customers on Sunday? No, that's their right. What we're seeing is something similar here. Now, the other wrinkle in all this is there's no law that Congress has written that allows platforms to remove the content or host content or decide what's best for the content it wants to use. It's the First Amendment. And the thing about Georgia is I already know how this story ends because we saw it play out in Florida. We saw it play out in Texas, where we got 2 federal court judges to say that those laws, very, very similar to Georgia, are unconstitutional. And why were they unconstitutional? Because it was a violation of the First Amendment. And if you just think about it for a moment, what SB 393 is, at the end of the day, it is government-compelled speech. It is government forcing someone to say something they don't want to say. And that kind of goes against our nature as Americans, where we broke away from the British Empire. We abandoned ideas of monarchies and big government because we want to be independent, because we want to be our own people. We want to say what we believe, not what politicians think we should say. That's why we have the First Amendment, and that's why SB 393, even though it may come from a place of good intentions or complete frustration, is just a violation of our principles as Americans that the government should not be in a place of telling you, me, or anyone what to think or say.
It sounds like this could open up something to go down a slippery slope that may develop into something else. But on the surface, it sounds like a great idea, but maybe not so much. Now, where is this bill right now? Is it still in committee, or is it waiting to be introduced, or where is it in the legislation?
Yes. So there's a hearing today, actually, on the bill. It's kind of on its first step down the chain. And kind of what we're hoping is that the lawmakers, when they hear the concerns, they hear the objections, and they really just take a moment and let their right side of the brain relax and just think, is this the role for government? That they'll decide that this isn't the right role for government. This isn't the right move for the state of Georgia. And they remember that it was President Reagan who said the 9 scariest words are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
That's true. Those words need to be carved on a monument somewhere. Absolutely. Now, I know good intentions, but then again, maybe not. Well, listen, Carl, thank you for this information. And are you going to be at the hearing today, or someone from NetChoice?
We actually testified last week,
okay.
And long story short, somebody got sick, and so round 2 is today. But we'll be monitoring, we'll be engaging, and always happy to be in Atlanta.
All right. Well, where can folks go to find out some more about this and contact our legislators and say, hey, think about this before you act on it?
Yeah, well, contact your state senator. You can find out information about that at ledge.ga.gov. You can learn more about what we're doing here at NetChoice at netchoice.org, netchoice.org. And you can likewise follow us at NetChoice on Twitter.